The following clip is from the North to South Show, live every Monday and Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, where we talk SEC football everything. Now, we'd love to have you out for next show, but for now, hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button, and enjoy this clip. So what I want to do for both of these segments before we get into talking about like Georgia this season, because I don't want to say the mood has changed around Georgia. I feel like Georgia, even before they got these two guys, were still college football playoff contenders and serious contenders and all stuff like that, but they have got better. They have definitely got better. So before we get into talking about Georgia going into next season, I want to break down each player by player individually and how they're going to impact their team. So first off, I want to start off with talking about the cornerback that they just landed from Clemson. Obviously, I'm talking about the 196-foot guy out of Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is, in my opinion, the football capital of the world. Now, that might be because I'm a bit biased, because I'm a big Gamecocks fan, and obviously we've had some huge talent come out of there. Stephon Gilmore and Jadeveon Clowney, the best recruit of all time in college football history, came out of Rock Hill, and so did Derion Kendrick. He is going to the University of Georgia next year to play football with Georgia, and I love this transfer. I know, not to get too much into why he left from Clemson and everything, we know that there was some off-field issues, and Dabo had to kick him off the team and stuff like that. And then Kendrick obviously just went to Georgia. But I love the transfer move by Kendrick because of the week one game, just because the storyline and everything, it just makes this game so much sweeter than what it already is. We already know what's on the line in this game. We know that there is tons and tons of momentum to be shifted in how both of those two teams' seasons shift out depending on that game in Charlotte. And the fact that Darian Kendrick gets to go up against his former team week one in the biggest game of college football in the whole season, of course, other than the two playoff games of the national championship, but the biggest regular season game, I mean, it is going to be a very, very exciting game, and I cannot wait for that. Cannot wait for that game. But let's talk about Darian Kendrick. So, obviously, he was at Clemson. He was one of their DB stars, in my opinion. I've watched Clemson quite a bit because I am a Gamecocks fan, and I tune into Clemson. I'm curious about Clemson, and Darian Kendrick was a very good player. He always did really, really well against our Gamecocks, or my Gamecocks, not our Gamecocks, because on this channel we have fans from all over college football nation, so I really, really appreciate you guys. But let's go through some of his stats. 2019, he had 43 total tackles, 13 assisted, those were 30 solos, 5 passes defended, and then you had 2 interceptions, and one of those was a pick six for Kendrick that season. Then last season, 18 total tackles, you had 12 solos, 6 assisted, 1 sack, and he had 1 interception last season. He is going into his junior year, or because of the extra year of eligibility. I'm guessing after this season, he's going to move on to the draft. He's looking somewhere around a first rounder. I'd say probably late first rounder for Darian Kendrick. Obviously depends on how this season goes in Georgia. That could obviously move up or down, but I think Kendrick is going to be ready for the NFL after this season. So lots of interesting stuff to get into there. But Darian Kendrick, I think the reason why you don't see him have any major stats and interceptions or passes defended and everything like that, by the way, it's 6 in 2020. I think it's just because, or passes deflected, sorry. It's just because guys don't want to target him. That's how good Darian Kendrick has been. And if I look at how he's going to match up in this Georgia Bulldogs team, like in terms of where he's going to go in the secondary, I think he's an easy starter. I think you start this guy straight away. I know you still got some good guys, but you got some young guys still. I'm looking at Kimber. Kimber's the redshirt freshman coming in at one of those cornerback spots, looking like he's going to be the number 2 cornerback on the depth chart for Georgia. I'd probably throw in Kendrick there, and then you're going to have him across from Speed, which those two guys at the cornerback position, obviously Speed has some really good experience at Georgia, and I'm looking at now Kendrick. I look at those two guys, and all of Georgia's secondary in general. I'm really, really high on Georgia's secondary this season, so I think Kendrick going there, first of all, for him, that's a really good decision because he's going to a championship contender easily. 100% he's going to a championship contender. He's going to a team that obviously has the media attention. Not that Clemson didn't have it, because obviously Clemson does, because they are constantly being one of the best teams in the nation in all of college football, but you're still going to one of those really high caliber teams that the media is always on. So Kendrick, no matter what, is going to get the media attention he needs to be able to raise his draft stock, and I think that he's going to be a huge key into Georgia, locking up some of those big wide receivers you got in the SEC this season, because it is going to be a tough task. We all know offense is taking over the SEC, and any chance you get to have a good cornerback or whatever you want to call it, a good secondary player on your team, you need it because the wide receivers are good. The passing attack is real in the SEC. So I think Derion Kendrick going on to Georgia, huge move for him and huge move for Georgia as well.